Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This proposal completely eliminates student debt in this country and ends the absurdity of sentencing an entire generation, the millennial generation, to a lifetime of debt for the crime of doing the right thing, and that is going out and getting a higher education.
Translation, what is it going to cost me and the taxpayers to get you to vote for me? I'm going to give you free health care. I may give you a free job. We'll make sure you get free food, shelter, and, of course, an education. Lots of free stuff coming. It is like they found the genie in the bottle, and guess what? The genie's like, yeah, I could pay for all that. And by that, I mean I'll have somebody else pay for it all. Other people's money. Other people's money. People are like, well, we are the richest nation in the world. You know how we got there? Right? By not doing stupid stuff and having personal responsibility. Well, Chad, let me tell you something. The big banks loan the money. They don't set how much tuition is. Why are we not asking the question of why does it cost so much to go to a damn school? We're not asking that question, and maybe that's the question that needs to be asked rather than, hey, can I get you something for free?
Making public colleges, universities, and HBCUs tuition-free and debt-free by tripling the work-study program, expanding Pell Grants, and other financial incentives.
I just feel like we're giving away a lot of stuff. And last week we were talking about reparations. So we're talking about reparations last week and paying. Now we're talking about essentially paying off kids' student loans, giving, hey, here we go. We're doing this. We're going to do this. We're going to give you a free school. We're going to wipe out your debt. Just wipe it out. What does that say to a group of people? What does that say to a generation? That we're going to get rid of the thing that you knew going into what you were doing. Did you know how it was going to affect you? By now you should know how it was going to affect you. But it's ridiculous. I had several people who I know are very liberal have tweeted at me in the last, because I posted this on the old Twitter. They're at Chad Benson Show. Feel free to tweet at me. Who said, what about my generation that paid for their way for school, did these kind of things that they had to do, and learned this responsibility? What about us? There you go. There you go. Frustrating. But this is what you get. It's free. It's free health care. In some cases, it's free jobs. In other cases, it's free housing and jobs. In other cases, it's free health care, free jobs, free housing, free food, and, oh yes, now free school. How is it so free? Because somebody's got to pay for it. So it's not as free as you think. Rather than asking the question that we need to be asking, why is it so expensive? Why don't we ask that question? What are we afraid of? What are we afraid of? The 25,000 administrators on a campus that really do nothing? Why? Why is it so expensive? I'm just curious.
Not only a college education, but the right to enter a trade school, the right to learn how to become a carpenter or a plumber or a sheet metal worker and get one of the many important jobs that keep our society going.
Again, just curious. By the way, you can go to trade school, right? You could go become a union tradesman and learn right there. I'm just curious. Why is it so expensive, and why does everybody else have to pay for your education?
This proposal will make it possible for every person in America to get all of the education they need, regardless of their financial status.
You know what? I shake my head. And here's the thing. So it's public schools and universities. So private schools will still do their own thing, and that education will be even more wanted, right? It's just, I sit here and I scratch my head. I mean, somebody answer me the question. Why should people get it for free? Why? Somebody said earlier, well, it's, the big banks got bailed out. One has nothing to do with the other. And by the way, the big banks paid it back with interest. So why should I pay for your education? Why should I pay for your stuff? Is it not fair that we ask these questions? Because the Democrats are making a lot of promises. A lot of promises here that are going to cost you and I a bunch of money. And the people who are going to get it for free are going to find out it's going to cost them money somewhere down the line, too. And they may not be thrilled by it once they find out what the bill. Because somebody's always going to get the check. Right? But this is ridiculous. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Immigration front and center as always. New poll out about immigration. It's a very interesting poll. Right now, for the first time ever, the number one thing that people say is a problem here in America that needs to be addressed, the most important problem, is immigration. 1 in 3 Americans believe that this is a big problem. 1 in 3 Americans also want immigration levels decrease, according to the new Gallup poll. And this is very interesting, too. So they asked people about their views on immigration and the impact. And it's quite mixed. Food, music, and arts. People are like 60% say it's better, right? We like the food, the music, and arts were good. The economy in general, kind of split. 25% no effects, 31% worse, 43% it's better. Social and moral values pretty much split. 31 better, 28 worse, 39 no effect. But here's the thing where it changes. And this is the big thing. Job opportunities for you and your family. Better, 19%, worse, 25. Taxes, 20% better, 42% worse. The crime situation, 7% better, 42% worse. This is according to new Gallup poll. It's an issue that needs to be addressed. Of course, Trump was going to do something over the weekend where it's going to be ICE, and ICE is going to be out there doing their thing, and then all of a sudden he called it off. He says, Nancy called him, asked him to call it off. There's a lot of that seems to be going on in Trump land lately. And over the weekend, the talking heads were out there. This is Jose Antonio Vargas, who has a nonprofit, is out there. He's a journalist, and he was talking about the fear that's going on out there amongst the people.
Here's to me is the question. Maria Teresa was speaking to this. In addition to going on the streets and, of course, voting your conscience, the question now is, what are American citizens willing to risk? Like, what are you doing with your privilege? If you see someone getting arrested in front of you, if you see someone, you're riding a bus, you're on a train, ICE shows up, they ask for papers, what are you going to do? Are you going to protect the people on the bus, in the train, who can't show their papers because they don't have any?
What are you going to do? Well, they don't have papers. Let's be real. Let's be 100% honest. We don't do that now. Trump tweets and trolls and says things. None of that stuff was happening. In fact, according to the latest data, he's actually, are you ready for this? As far as immigration going, as far as getting people out of the country, he is deporting people less than Obama was. So slow our roll that ICE is going to go out there and do everything where they're just going to go magically overnight and deport X amount of thousands and millions of people. It's just not going to happen. It's not. It's not. And I watched these talking head shows yesterday. I was like, normally I don't. On the weekend, I would take time off. Jack's visiting me. We're having a good time. We're hanging out. We got them all slip and slide yesterday. It was like, there's never a greater moment in time. That first time you hit that slip and slide and you just out having fun in the whole 9 yards. But I watched a little bit of this and it just frustrates me. You listen to people. It's like, what are you going to do with your privilege? You're like, wait, what? What am I supposed to do? I'm just curious. What am I supposed to do? I've got a country that is half-assing it when it comes to the laws here. Certain states don't even pretend to half-ass anymore. See California. What am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to vote people out and put other people in there. They're going to do the right thing by actually defending our borders and doing something. It's not a black or white thing. It's not a brown or white thing. It's not a white thing. It's about doing the right thing and having an actual sovereign land. At some point in time, the frustration level comes in. And it's there. It really is with me. It's absolutely there. Because I'm sick and tired of being told that if you want to have an actual border, that somehow you're a racist SOB. No, I'm not. I want a sovereign land. I want a land. And I want people to be able to come here. And I've talked about the things that we need to do to make it easier for people to come here. But at some point in time, you have to ask yourself the question, is this what we want from our country? where they don't do anything at the border. They turn a blind eye. They make it a game. People continue to come here, and you're footing the bill for it over and over and over again. And if you dare bring anything up, you're automatically an awful human being and racist. No. Sorry. Don't buy it. I'm over it. I'm frustrated. Something absolutely needs to be done. And I don't think we've got the leaders that are capable of doing it. I don't. I think at this point in time, we don't have the leaders that want to do it and get it done. It's frustrating. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us today. Trump's come out, added new sanctions on to Iran.
I'll be signing an executive order imposing hard-hitting sanctions on the Supreme Leader of Iran and the office of the Supreme Leader of Iran and many others.
I want a Supreme burrito. Remember those? Those are tasty. So the Supreme Leader, which is like there's a combo burrito leader, and then underneath there's a taco. But the Supreme Leader is getting sanctions. And last week is another one of those situations where we had an incident. Trump came out hard and apparently at one point in time was ready to roll, but didn't roll. And then now today he rolls out sanctions. And the sanctions are a big thing because the reality is it's killing them. It's not just hurting them a little bit. It is absolutely crushing them. Crushing them. As far as their economy goes, they're feeling like you could not believe. So what happens from here? I don't know. Get him to the table? I would like to see that. Is it going to happen anytime soon? I don't know. I did see their, all of their leaders chanting death to America. So, that tells you how it's going. Of course, they don't have anything to worry about, right? Because they're the leaders. And at this point in time, there is nothing for them to worry about, even though their people are starving and struggling, and they're finding it tough. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet us. I was telling Jack, so we got the slip and slide. And so when I was a kid, Jack, right, like we had poor slip and slide. Poor slip and slide was Dad went and Dad got, or Mom got a bunch of hefty trash bags and they stapled them all together, right? Like, or whatever. It was like, my dad like staples. And I was telling Jack how amazing it was because they put a little olive oil on there, a little dish soap, then the water, and you could slide and you'd be all cut to hell. I said, but in between the stitches and the tetanus shot, it was the greatest day of your life. Oh, you gotta love that. Got to love that. Crazy. He played on that thing for like 10 hours yesterday. Oh, the little things. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter. It is called My Pillow. It's amazing. You're going to sleep better than you've ever slept before. That I know. I sleep sounder and better than I have slept in forever. I can't even remember. And My Pillow's got something for my listeners right now they've never offered before. $34.99 a pillow. You're going to get 2 premium pillows, right, for less than $70 with a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you got nothing to lose. Same great pillow, right? 10-year warranty, made in the USA, machine washable and dryable. And right now, you've got nothing to lose with a 60-day money-back guarantee. The only way to get this is to go to MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson. That's MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Get 2 premium pillows for less than $70 at MyPillow.com, promo code Benson with a 60-day money-back guarantee. And they're going to ship them for free, or you can call 800-983-4975. Use that promo code Benson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
That was more on me. I had obviously taken the first one and then just thought maybe it would be better to switch it up. But then obviously go over to the sidelines. The coach was like, you're up number 1 for a reason. So get in there. What are you doing? So I was like, okay.
Megan Rapinoe right there. Today, U.S. women defeated Spain in the round of 16. They are on to the quarterfinals. It'll be Friday night in Uber prime time in France as they take on the French at the Parc des Princes, which will be also fun.
Every team just elevates. There's more pressure and more nerves in the knockout rounds. But I think we steadied ourselves halfway through the second half there and we're able to obviously get 2 fortunate calls, put them away.
Yeah, I had to be honest with you. I wasn't impressed with the U.S. game today. I wasn't. We won, and we scraped by, which is always nice. But I don't think we looked very good in beating the Spanish. I didn't. And then I watched the second game, which is Sweden versus Canada. And quite frankly, it was awful. It was an awful game to watch. It was. But still, hey, we won. We take on France, and they're one of the favorites. They're at home. And when you're at home, it shows over and over again that crowd and that nation behind you, whether it's the Olympics or the World Cup or whatever it is going to lift you and put you in positions as far as what you think you can and can't do that is so much bigger than people realize. And so they're going to have the whole nation, and the reality is the whole of Europe behind them in this one. So, because everybody wants to see those awful Americans get beat. So we'll find out. This should be very interesting. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love to hear from you. Can I just say, don't know why, but they did it, and it was awful.
They did it. Highwire legends Nick and Liana Wallenda successfully completing a quarter-mile walk 25 stories above the crossroads of the world. ABC's Michael Strahan watching as Nick finished first.
Hear the crowd cheering for him, and he gets it off the wire.
Highwire Live in Times Square with Nick Wallenda was broadcast on ABC TV. Dick Clark Productions capturing what it sounded like as the siblings stepped off the wire. It was her first public performance since a nearly fatal accident in 2017.
It's good to see Dick Clark still working. I don't get it. I don't say, okay, I'm going to walk from here to there, but I don't want to do it on the ground. I want to put a wire across. And then from there, it's my passion. I want a big stick, and I want to walk across. You have no other passion? Nope, that's it. This is my passion. So this is your passion. This is it right here. So you sure? 100%. Chad, that's not very nice. Let's be real. People tune in what? Because they want to see tragedy. You don't want to say it, because that sounds horrible. It's like the reason people enjoy car racing is there's always a chance. You can get behind the skill and the amazement and all of the other stuff, but there is always that chance, and because there's always that chance, more people tune in. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Pence speaks about all kinds of stuff, including climate change. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The quote said in a January report on worldwide threats that the climate emergency is, quote, likely to fuel competition for resources, economic distress, and social discontent. It's a priority for the D&I coats. The EPA this week, however, rolled back part of President Obama's Clean Power Plan, letting states set their own limits for coal power plant emissions. Do you think human-induced climate emergency is a threat to the United States?
Well, what I will tell you is that we'll always follow the science on that in this administration.
The science says it is.
But what we won't do, and the Clean Power Plan was all about that, was hamstringing energy in this country, raising the costs of utility rates for working families across this country.
Now, I'm going to say this. Mike Pence at times sounds like a boob. He does. Sounds like a boob. Sounds like but there's also something that people forget to talk about when it comes to implementing a lot of these things is the cost, right? The cost. What's the cost? I'm not talking about the cost to humanity. I'm talking about the cost to the individual who's living paycheck to paycheck. If we go and implement all of these things that the people who are climate alarmist, right, who the world's coming to an end, right? Bill Nye just came out and said, hey, we got maybe 10, 15 years at best, right? And then it's too late. It's not 50, it's 10, 15 years. And what happens? Who's disproportionately hurt in situations like this? Because the person who feels good about themselves driving the Tesla because they got an electric car, that person's not worried about paying a few bucks more for a few things, right? That person's not. But the people out there who are struggling, They would be worried because it all adds up. And we forget that part of climate change and what we want to do with the Green New Deal and implementing stuff that would be more expensive. I'm all for doing that in a way. I watched something on 60 Minutes last night. This guy was not a scientist, by the way. Says, hey, you know what? He fell in love. He lives on Walden Pond, and he just fell in love with the area. And not a scientist, gave up his career. Some people call him a genius. I was like, it's hard to call him a genius because he missed a bunch of teeth. But the dude's brilliant. He's got all these guys from MIT that have quit their jobs at MIT and have come over to work with this guy. He's got hundreds of millions of dollars. And he's taking things like cellulose and sugar, and he's just turning it into fuel that burns cleaner, that he believes could be 30% of our fuel in the future. Right? And they're investing money because they see what's coming out of it at the end if this thing was to work, which was huge. And he said, look, it'll be inexpensive too, which is very important. It's very important that we forget that side of the argument with climate change. I saw a Democrat in California who lives in a predominantly African-American inner city area that is somewhat poverty-stricken, who came out about a year ago and said, look, my constituents can't afford what you guys want to do. They just can't. They're worried about living to tomorrow as far as what their paycheck will go. They can't afford some of the things you want to do and how it's going to hurt them. But we often forget that thing. And I realize that, you know what? While at times Mike Pence just sounds like he's beyond awkward, I get the whole process of, hey, hold on a second. If we went and implemented a lot of these things, what's that cost to the consumer? Because you put in the Green New Deal, after everybody gets their sticker shock, the first thing they're going to be doing is going, who's going to run against these people so we can get rid of a lot of this stuff?
But is it a threat?
While other nations like China and India do absolutely nothing or make illusory promises decades down the road to deal with it. You know, the truth of the matter is, with the advent of natural gas, with the natural gas explosion that's developing, with clean coal technology, we're seeing a significant reduction in carbon emissions all across this country.
But is what people are calling a climate emergency, is it a threat? Do you think it's a threat? Man-made climate emergency is a threat?
I think the answer to that is going to be based upon the science.
Well, the science says yes. I'm asking you what you think.
There's many in the science that...
The science community in your own administration, at NOAA, at the DNI, they all say it's a threat.
By the way, for those people out there that say there's no scientists that go against that, there are hundreds upon hundreds of scientists who come and question the models, feel that there is a fear factor put out there that you better get on board with this because it's going to run you over if you don't. And I'm not talking about a few people who are like, you know, these are wacko people. I'm talking about real scientists that have talked, like Roy Spencer, huge research scientist, University of Alabama, Huntsville. Massive. Big time scientists. Scientists from all over the globe, from Norway to here, who dispute a lot of this and also look at this as a lot of ways that I do, which is we can talk about how we can make things cleaner, but let's talk about the political ramifications and how people feel like they're being forced in. And this is not just this. I mean, the fact is you've got the guy that ran St. Johns Hopkins, the psychology department, who feels like when it comes to trans things that it's a fear factor of you better go along with everything everybody says or you could be done for. And that the political movement itself will run you over, even if the science can be disputed and talked about. It's the same thing here. You better or else is a fear that I think a lot of people have in the world. And look at the political movement that's going on there. And by the way, you can find scientists to say anything. I still think we need to do a better job of renewable energy, but how do we make it affordable for everybody? That's the big thing. How do we make it affordable and consistent and reliable? Those things matter. Because if you make it so it's unaffordable, it doesn't matter. You got to make choices then. Tough choices. And that's where I think it's going to be a real issue. He did sound kind of like a boob, though. I'm just saying. Look, I don't dislike Mike Pence. I'm just saying he feels a little boobish at times. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Bill Maher
Only this person checks all the boxes and positively answers the question I often hear posed: who do the Democrats have that we know can beat Trump? And there really is only one answer to that. And it's not Joe Biden. I like Joe. But if we give him the keys, there's at least a 50% chance he gets in the car and mows down a farmer's market. Also, young people look at him like a typewriter is running for president.
That's so true. And it's the more that you hear about Joe, and I will say this, I even saw Democratic people who like Joe came out this week and said, you know, Trump calls him Sleepy Joe for a reason, but the reality is and people have talked about it, and he's joked about it. Bill Maher is Bernie and Trump look like they are the Energizer Bunny comparatively to Joe. They do. And what's it now? Answer me this question when it comes to Joe Biden. What's it look like in 8 months when he's the nominee and he's got to go? What's that look like? I think it's a fair question to ask right there. How tired does he look? Because if you're low energy, ask Jeb, you will pay the price on stage.
Neither can I say that about Elizabeth Warren, who I like even more. But a lot of Americans see a woman with a bunch of plans who seems to know everything, making demands for change, and they think, I already have a wife. Bernie Sanders is an American hero in my book, but he's another one who has his cardiologist on speed dial. I like Mayor Pete, but we must ask the question, is America ready to be led by a gay teenager?
Who's got enough problems right now in his own hometown, taking care of business there. So who could it be? Who could it be that could be the one that defeats Trump?
The only person who is a sure thing is Oprah Winfrey. Oprah alone checks all the boxes that a Democrat needs to win. It is crucial to energize the African-American base. The majority of all voters are women, and 58% of the Democratic electorate is women. So does Oprah energize women? Oprah doesn't scare white men. But never underestimate the power of being in people's living rooms for decades. That's what got Trump elected.
I will tell you this. Oprah has spent years, decades, building up her brand. Harpo, Oprah, she built up her brand in a way that has never been seen before. Talk about the American dream, going from nothing to billions. She came into your home every day. But when you choose a side in politics, know this, as Trump has seen. He went from the lovable lout that was on The Apprentice, who was a loudmouth, the cantankerous old uncle or grandpa, but you could just go, but he was funny and he was entertaining, to despised by a lot of people. And a brand that he took years and years to build up that is now tarnished forever. Does Oprah want that? And that's a fair question. Do you want that? Because while the lady in Cedar Rapids, the lady in, Sault Ste. Marie, the lady who may love you, St. Paul, I just think Oprah's great. But then you find out she's running, and she's running as a Democrat. Then you ask yourself the question, I didn't know Oprah was like that, really. Tarnishes. Hurts. Even though you may love Oprah, we no longer compartmentalize. We just look at you, the enemy, just like they look at you as the enemy. Everybody's looking at the enemy. When you pick a side, which is what you'd be doing. Oprah and Michael Jordan had a lot in common when it came to even Republicans buy sneakers. They were more worried about their brand, and there's a reason for all the other basketball superstars that are out there. The number one dominant thing still is Michael Jordan. That's it. Oprah has to ask herself, even though she stepped away and said, I'm not going to do it, would you want to do it? It's a worrisome thing if you're her, because it took a long time to build that up. And are you ready for that? Because people that loved you will automatically want nothing to do with you anymore. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. By the way, the U.S. women's national team that won today, beat Spain. They take on France. They over the weekend, they decided they're going to have mediation. They're going to go to arbitration after the World Cup as far as pay goes to try to get a fair compensation package when it comes to getting paid what they feel they deserved. And look, you know what? I think you deserve to get what you get when it comes to the revenue side of things. I think that's the reality of it. And the women don't match up on the revenue side of things. You can have all the success in the world, but if nobody's the greatest curler in the world does not make the same amount of money as an average golfer that's a professional. It just doesn't happen. And that's based on the revenue. And if you watched any of the Women's World Cup, a lot of empty seats. That's the reality of it. They're not making the same kind of money as the men. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, tweet at us. I was just laughing. I told the guys before we came back to break. I gave Jack's here with me for another week, and I just gave him a little dap, a little bit of knuckles, because he just killed somebody with his bare hands in this game. Solid. Every day, thousands of dogs are being euthanized. I get more people who text me and ask me about this organization. And they're called Wounded Paw Project. And they go in and they find these dogs. They're being euthanized. And they look at them and they say, look, we got a problem in this country, not only with animals that aren't wanted, but we got veterans out there that on average 20 of them a day commit suicide. So why don't we do something that can unite both of them? Save a paw, save a life. And that's what Wounded Paw has done, and it is amazing. They rescue these dogs. They train these dogs to be service dogs. Then they get them into service for our veterans, first responders, and their family. And it's one little thing like this that goes so long and such a far way in somebody's life, feeling like you have somebody there for you that is there for you. Now, what they need is your help. Well, go to woundedpawproject.org. You check out all of the stuff that they're offering. What they're looking for is any vehicle you have, right? Runs, it doesn't run. You think about trading it in. It's storage and it's taking up space. You're never going to use it. They'll take it. You're going to get a great tax-deductible gift right there, and they're going to you have no idea how far this is going to go. You can call 844-678-4PAW. That's 844-678-4729. They also take cash, and cash is a lovely thing, too. Check them out at woundedpawproject.org. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Deal this.
Mueller, arrest me.
Chad will trade you 2 perjury charges for 1 collusion and throw in a reduced charge of obstruction for free.
Yeah, I'd do that.
For just listening to The Chad Benson Show.
I want you to meet Forky.
It wasn't the massive debut some were expecting, but it's still pretty good. Toy Story 4 opened in first with $118 million. That's the best bow of any of the films in the franchise's 24-year history and the 4th largest opening ever for an animated film. But pundits were expecting anywhere from a $140 to $200 million debut.
Something's wrong with Chucky.
The Child's Play remake also opened on the lower end of expectations, $14 million for second place.
Yeah, not a good weekend for movies. And quite frankly, the summer's not been great either for movie going. I think this weekend will be a surprise. Annabelle Comes Home, I think it is. It's a new Annabelle movie. So, and I was bummed because we were doing a bunch of stuff this weekend, and I found out that they actually are on like a roadshow tour, like an RV tour with all of the Warrens' stuff, including Annabelle, apparently. Was out here in Arizona, and that would have been interesting to see. A good weekend for this cat.
Drake just beat the Beatles.
When I die, I put my money in the grave.
The Canadian rapper scored his 35th top 10 single on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart with Money in the Grave, passing the Beatles for the second most top 10s of all time. And he's got just a couple more to catch the all-time leader, Madonna, who has 38. But she's still making music and could add to her numbers. Drake did get to 35 the fastest, doing it in half the time of Madonna, 9 years for him, 18 for her. Money in the Grave debuted in 7th place.
How's that feel? I just wonder, soak that in. Drake and the Beatles. He's past the Beatles. Are you soaking it in? Are you guys feeling it? Are you just soaking it in? He's past the Beatles and Madonna. Now, we were trying to figure out Madonna earlier because I can't name 38 Madonna songs. I can't name 38 of them. I can name a ton, but I can't name 38 top 10 songs. But I was joking about Drake because the Canadian rapper. Because, you know, when you think hard, right? When you think hard, you think Toronto, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Ottawa. Oh, that guy's from Ottawa. And you think kid from television kid show will grow up to be a powerhouse in music. Because he was on, you can't do that on TV? Is that what it was called, Phil?
No, he was on Degrassi, I believe.
Yeah, Degrassi.
Alanis Morissette was on You Can't Do That on Television.
Yeah. So, also, fantastic. It'd be like today if a Mouseketeer would become, oh, wait, that's already happened. Just throwing that out there. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. I was joking around because BET this weekend had their big award show, and they did a big thing for Nipsey, for old Nipsey Hussle. And I'm thinking, think of the difference between old Nipsey and Drake. It's just totally different worlds. Totally different worlds. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. By the way, I did watch the opening of that last night. Well, I watched it on Twitter because it was Lil Nas X and Billy Ray Cyrus. Yeah, Billy Ray Cyrus was one of the openers at the BET Awards. What? Talk about cultural appropriation. I'm just saying. Tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Check out thechadshow.com for your podcast. Wherever podcasts are available, costing you absolutely nothing with a money-back guarantee of whatever you spend for it, which is nothing. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I will be completely honest. I will disclose my personal stake in this fight because I have student loans too. And I think it's so funny. A year ago, I was waiting tables in a restaurant. And it was literally easier for me to become the youngest woman in American history elected to Congress than it is to pay off my student loan debt.
Woo! AOC right there. Today is the big free giveaway stuff thing. What happens is you find this bottle and it's got a D on it. And then you just go and you start rub the lamp, right? And then all of a sudden, out pops somebody, and you don't know who it could be. It could be AOC to give you something, or it could be...
Today we are entering a proposal which will allow every person in this country to get all of the education that they need to live out their dreams because they are American.
All right, because they are American. So we have all of the stuff to live out the dreams because they are American. So free. Now, again, we've only got 2 bottles, but there's a third bottle. No. Yes, you guys didn't know there was a third bottle? There is a third bottle. And then who comes out? Oh, it's Ilhan Omar.
What my bill does is simple as it is revolutionary, as Senator Sanders says. It cancels all of 1.6 trillion student loan debt. No exceptions, no questions asked, full cancellation. Americans will no longer wonder if they can buy a home or start a family or open a business or retire.
Woo! No responsibility, baby. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. No responsibility. Are you kidding me? And by the way, what should scare you most of all about this is when you start to hear some of the other stuff they talk about. So right now we've got free health care is what they want. And I'm okay with the private-public option. I have said that. I got zero problems with giving people the opportunity to opt in the private-public option. But I want to keep a public option. I want to keep a private option for all of us who say, hey, I get it from my employer. I'd rather have the choice, right? But Bernie didn't want that. Now he wants to give you all free health care. Some of them want to give you free housing. Some of them want to give you jobs. Some of them want to give you guaranteed income. And now they want to get rid of your school debt. What is next? What about we go back and anybody who lost money in the great debacle in the early 2000s or mid-2000s with the banks and the whole 9 yards? How about we repay them? Even though, look, everybody had a part to play in it. Nobody wants to believe that. So free, free, free.
So that should tell you everything about the state of our economy and the state of quality of life for working people. Because in order for me to get a chance to have health care, in order for me to get a chance to pay off my student loans, I had to do something that was nearly impossible. And I don't think that that is the bar through which a person should be able to access education, health care, and a bevy of other things that should be considered human rights.
That should scare you. A bevy of other things. Health care, education. Yang wants to give you cash. Hey, yo, Yang, get your thing. Wang, wang. I can't even believe. I mean, he wants to give you cash. He wants to give you cash. Some of them want guaranteed jobs. This is insane. It is. Let me ask you a question. Why aren't we asking the question of why is it so expensive to go to school? Why do we not answer the question, why is it? You want to give everybody free school. You want to cancel $1.6 trillion in debt. Then you want to throw a tax on Wall Street and everywhere. You want to do all of these things. You turn it into class warfare. Why is it we don't address why it's so expensive? I'm 48 years old. Many of my friends who went through college, guess what? They've paid off their loans. Some of them paid as they went. They felt it was expensive, but it wasn't ridiculous. Why is it expensive now? Why is it $100,000 to go to school? Because if you're going to give it to them, they're going to take it. The banks aren't telling them, hey, you know what? You should charge $100,000 to go to your school for 4 years. And the college is like, oh, that's a great idea. Why can't we ask the question, how many administrators do you need? Why can't we ask these kind of questions? Nobody wants it. It's the same thing when we deal with health care in this country, right? Why can't we ask the question is, why does this tube, right? This catheter cost X amount of dollars and a PS4 brand new with a bunch of games costs far less. Really? Why do you need to wake me up every hour to take my blood pressure with a new cufflink thingy there every time that charges me $100? What's up with that? Why? And why do you charge so much for it? Because you can. You get away with it. I think it's a question we can ask. I think it's a fair question. We should be asking the hell out of these things. But for giving $1.6 trillion, wiping away responsibility? Ho. Who didn't want that? Can you pay for my house? Can you do that? Anybody? No. Are you sure? Because I'd love that. Who wouldn't love that? Raise your hand if you want a free house paid for by the government. When you do these kind of things, when you promise this, what do you think's going to happen? Right? You think you're going to get in there, they're going to give you everything you want, then you're going to become a slave to government. They're going to be your God. You're going to go to them for every single thing. That's what they want. Permanent dependency upon government. I'd like to find out what the root cause of this explosion in the cost of education is. I think it's a fair thing. As we become more technologically advanced, why is it more expensive when everything else is getting cheaper? Why is this happening? How many administrators do you need? Because if you can tell them it costs you this, hey, and they say it's okay, and they're willing to pay it, and somebody's willing to loan money for it. And if I was the banks right now, if you're any one of these lenders, you're in a lose-lose situation. Because if you don't loan money, you're a jerk. But if you do loan money, you're a bad person for giving them money. So they're going to come away, take away all your responsibility. Democrat should be their slogan. Vote Democrat. We'll take away your responsibility. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Speaking of health care, which needs to be dealt with, this could potentially be interesting. This could potentially be something that could be a game changer, but it really depends.
The EO requires us to put forth a proposal to require healthcare providers and insurers to provide patients with information about the out-of-pocket costs they'll face before they receive health care services.
Yeah, I like that. The out-of-pocket to know what you're going to pay for. What's this costing me? I'd like to know that. 1 in 6 bills has a, whoa, gotcha. And we all ask the same question. You break your arm, it's the same break. You go to hospital A, it costs you X amount of dollars. You go to hospital B, it costs you 5 times that much. And nothing is any different. Nothing. Why is that? This would be huge. And the reality is it's another one of those situations where when it comes to the insurance industry, why is it that over the last 30, 40 plus years, it's gotten so ridiculous? Because everybody wants to get to that trough and get fed. And they all want a piece of the pie. And the last thing they want you to know is how much it actually costs. Hey, we're going to charge you $100 for this aspirin. You go and say, I'm not paying $100 for the aspirin. All right, we'll charge you $10 for the aspirin. And then we're going to write that $90 difference off. So we'll get money back. Boy, it's a win-win. Everybody's getting fed. How about transparency? Would you change your mind if you knew? Of course you would. Could you imagine going to a restaurant? Right, so you go to a restaurant and you go there and they're like, I'll take whatever, right? You know, I want a pizza and some wings and, a pitcher of beer and whatever. And you look and you're just like, okay, wait a minute here. There's no prices on this, right? And you're like, whatever. It's no big deal, right? Don't worry about it. And then it comes and it's like, it's $3,000. Wait, what? Yeah. Well, that's ridiculous. It's kind of what it is in the medical world. It's ridiculous. There's no transparency. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that. And anything else, you go to buy a car, what's the first thing you ask? What's my payment? Could you imagine if they're like, don't worry about it. We're going to take care of all this. You get your first payment. You thought it was going to be $300 and you find out it's $1,500, $2,000. You'd be like, oh, sweet mamma jamma.
This lack of price transparency has enriched industry giants greatly, costing Americans hundreds of billions of dollars a year.
Yeah, it has. Now, is this the end all to be all? No, but I continue to say that I think this is a good step in a direction where they're trying to navigate around Obamacare. And let's have some transparency. I got zero problem with that. I really do. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. USA! USA!
I hope it's wild. Let's have it be everything that everybody wants it to be. Obviously, for the World Cup for women's football, it's going to be an incredible match in Paris. It's a late game, so to be under the lights. I think that the media wants this. I think all the players want this. I think all the fans want it. It's going to be a huge match, obviously.
Megan Rapinoe right there. U.S. won 2-1 today. They beat Spain. They play France on Friday. France hosts the World Cup. So they're the host team. They're playing at the Parc de France, which is a famous stadium where Paris Saint-Germain play, the great football club, PSG plays. It'll be awesome. The entire nation will be watching. It'll be an interesting game to watch our women play. They weren't that really good today, but they did enough. All you have to do is win. That's it. That's all that matters, right? You win. This is one and done. But I'm going to talk a little bit later about what took place yesterday and how Cameroon absolutely embarrassed themselves and embarrassed the women's game in a way that you just sit here and you're just like, that was completely unacceptable and what's supposed to be your biggest stage. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. By the way, Jesse Smollett, they've got body cam footage of the noose around his neck, and it just, the more that you read this thing, the more that you just sit here and shake your heads. And I know that they're, with Kim Fox, they're doing a bunch of investigations on her and what went on and how they went out there and decided to drop all charges on him. But I will tell you this, you just look at it and you're like, wow, this just, just shake your head. It's like, why are you still wearing that? Why? You go home, you call the police, they come to your apartment, you're still wearing it. It's ridiculous. It really is. Chicago police are still not happy about this. Nor should they be. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
For days now, Oregon's Republican state senators have been in hiding, and still they're nowhere to be found. Today, Democrats tried to gavel into session, but there were too few senators to hold a vote. Oregon's governor has okayed police to track down and return the missing senators. The Republicans have shown no signs of returning as they try to halt the cap-and-trade bill. For now, the standoff goes on. Alex Stone, EBC News.
I love Alex, but producer Phil, does it sound like he has a tough time saying senators?
A little bit there.
Let's hear this again.
For days now, Oregon's Republican state senators.
Senators? Yeah, if you guys, all joking aside, the police are essentially looking for the Republican senators because they think that what they're doing, because we've talked about this, the states have now become the tribal grounds for your political beliefs in a way where you now flock to states, as we're seeing, that fit your politics. 49 of the 50 states are one-party state control, minus Minnesota. So in this situation, you've got rural state senators who are saying, we're not going to vote on this thing because it's going to hurt our constituents. And, of course, the big Portlanders and the big people that are, progressive are saying, nope, we're going to vote on this thing. And they know that they're going to win. And so the way they do this is we're just going to hide is kind of what we're going to do.
We can hold out for quite some time. They've had massive demonstrations at the Capitol on this now. And if we hold out to June 30th, then all the pending legislation, including this bill, will die.
Yeah. And people are like, that's horrible. And it's funny because the Democrats have come out like, this is horrible. And it's kind of stupid and embarrassing in today's age. But hold on a second. 2001, when the Republicans controlled everything, the Democrats did the same thing. So stop being hypocritical. But it is kind of embarrassing when you think about it. Like, this is what you do. They're fined $500 a day, I guess, for not showing up. And I think if they're found, they're supposed to be essentially caught and brought in. So that'll be very interesting to see if that actually happens. Don't know if it will, but they're going to do their best. Listening to the frustration of the Oregon politicians, because these guys are hiding out and doing like Skype, and apparently some of them have gone across the border to Washington State, so they can't be reached, and it's just political theater. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Of course, the other big news of the day is what's going on with Iran, and will we or won't we? And, of course, we've put new sanctions on today, and they're pretty tough.
I'll be signing an executive order imposing hard-hitting sanctions on the Supreme Leader of Iran and the office of the Supreme Leader of Iran and many others.
So we'll see. We'll see what takes place. Iran is definitely, with a smile on the face, said that they shot down the drone, and Trump said, look, we had a chance, and I had the opportunity to do something. I asked them how many civilians would be killed. They said about 130 to 150. He said, I don't want to do that. It's not proportional. He thinks this is. We'll find out how this goes, but this is putting a crimp in their lifestyle that is already having issues. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show Twitter. Pete Buttigieg having some issues himself. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
So how can we trust this process? How can we ask another black man to go join the police department to try to be part of the change when y'all got sexual harassment, sexual harassment charges inside of the South Bend Police Department? Y'all promote the bad officers and demote the good ones. Y'all got racism inside of y'all police department. How are we supposed to trust this? How are we supposed to trust this? Mayor, when that young man got killed over there, ran over at the stoplight, what did you say? What did you say, Mayor? You dang near blamed him. How can we supposed to trust you? How can we? And you done partnered with a lot of the stuff that we done did with my organizations. I understand that, but when you mess up, we gotta also call that out too.
Yes, that's a guy named Blue who is angry at Buttigieg. By the way, Buttigieg has had a tough time getting African Americans behind him across the board nationwide. And what took place last month at a shooting in South Bend where a guy supposedly got out of, it was a police officer was called, goes to investigate somebody basically rooting through cars. The person in question supposedly had a 6 to 8 inch blade. The officer fired twice, hitting the car and then hitting the suspect, killing the suspect. And then this has really gotten to the point where over the last couple days, he's had to cut his time out running for president to get back to his job, which is being mayor of South Bend, Indiana. And people are absolutely not thrilled by what's going on. And no matter what he says, for whatever reason, and again, you look at South Bend, there's a lot of problems there. He does not have a good record. And the African-American community there, he actually came out and said something that surprised everybody. I've had trouble making our police force more diverse. We can't recruit. It's not working, and people are pissed.
There may be other footage to work with. Dash cams from afterwards. I don't know what it might tell us, but I just want you to know that as that emerges, there will be transparency.
People don't care. They don't care. They've had it up to here in this situation. Footage, this, that, and the other. And look, going through it here in Phoenix right now, where we have gotten some situations that have blown up, become national stories, and they happen quick. The reason this is a national story is because of Buttigieg. The Phoenix story is something much different because the police force in itself has had issues over the last couple years with shootings and a high proportion of shootings. And this situation here, I'm telling you, this is he needs the black vote if he's going to go. And here's the other thing. Can he help you in any way if he doesn't win the nomination, but you're curious about maybe bringing him in as the person who would be, your running mate? You look and you say, what can he bring? He's young, he's fresh and stuff. Like Kamala Harris, I always say Kamala Harris and him would be a very interesting ticket, except for one thing. She's going to struggle at times with the black vote, because of the way that she was as a prosecutor and how tough she was. So it's very interesting the way this has gone about. And people are pissed, and they're kind of over this entire situation with him. They felt he has failed them, and this is yet again another failure. And people are saying, look, dude, you want to run for president, and you can't fix our little community.
We're not only here because of what happened Sunday, even though that is obviously what has brought us to this point. There is a lot beneath the surface when it comes to trust and legitimacy around policing and race in our city.
Yeah. And people don't see that this is getting any better, and they want answers sooner rather than later. And I think Buttigieg is going to have some real issues here. And, we're 2 days away from the first debates. Some of these debates are, and these people on stage, this will be their hoorah. They're going to come out. They're going to hopefully raise their profile a little bit, but they're not going to raise any money. And slowly but surely, I wouldn't be surprised out of the 20 if 3 to 5 eventually say there's just nothing in it and they're done, but they've raised their profile enough. At least they were on stage. But Buttigieg is going to have real issues because if Democrats don't have the African-American vote, which they count on, like it's no big deal. They and this is my frustration with the Republican Party in the way that they've gone and done things, especially in the inner cities, and how they have failed miserably. in capturing the African-American vote, I just sit back and I shake my head and say, you've had more than ample opportunities to do something, and you have failed it over and over again. And this is another situation where I think you had a great opportunity here, and you've had for years. And what are you doing? You're doing nothing. Gavin Newsom said something over the weekend. He was on Axios and talking about the Republican Party and kind of where they're going. And you know what? I think in a lot of ways, he's right.
I honestly am empathetic towards what they are about to experience, which is a profound demise because of their own making. And until you have some courageous Republicans that stand up and actually make an argument for conservatism, where folks used to make it in this room, from Earl Warren, whose desk is right there, to Ronald Reagan himself, to even Arnold Schwarzenegger, they are finished. They have no governing philosophy. They have no value system that's interesting except fear of others. And those others are going to be a majority. So wake up.
The majority part's right. The fear of others, that's an easy thing to say, but I think he's got a real case there. He said it last week. They're going to be nothing in several years. And in California, they are nothing. They're nothing. But as the demographics change, as we become more diverse, and oddly enough, as we become more diverse, a lot of the cultures that are coming here, by and large, are somewhat conservative. The Hispanic community, very Catholic, pretty conservative community, right? But no. You look at the African-American community, the black community, in a lot of ways, very church-going, very faith-oriented, and they fail and swing and miss there in a lot of ways. And as the demographics change, and they're changing in a big way, I think he's right in some ways that they're going to be a nothing in the next decade or two. That's a big possibility unless they start to figure something out. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Yesterday, I watched the Women's World Cup. Spoiler alert here, kids, for today's game with the U.S. and Spain. But Cameroon played, and Phil Neville is the coach of England, so they played each other, and it was the round of 16, and England won 3-0. That was to be expected, but the way that the game went, because they have VAR, which is video assistant referee. So much like replay, they have this now, which by the way, in the U.S. game today, it played a very big part. It's getting it right. You know, guys used to, they would fall to the ground and fake like they were injured and like they were kicked in the whole 9 yards. This is to take care of not every play, but certain things, especially inside the penalty box. Yes, and offsides and things like that. Yesterday came into play, and they got it right. But the Cameroon team freaked out on the field, and it was an embarrassment. And I'm not talking about a little embarrassment. It was an embarrassing thing to watch. And once again, the spectacle that's supposed to be, hey, this is all about the game, was a joke. And this is the coach for England talking about that. And being quite frankly, he's being called racist today and sexist, but he was honest.
But I've got to say that wasn't football for me. That wasn't a World Cup last 16 in terms of the behaviour that I want to see from footballers. This is going out worldwide. And I can't stand here and say that I particularly enjoyed it. My players didn't enjoy it. At half-time, they were confused about the actions, about what they should do. They kept the concentration fantastic. They did the job.
Yeah, and what Cameroon was doing, they were protesting. They were going over to their coach. They were jumping up and down like a 3-year-old that didn't get their toy. They're threatening to walk off the field and not play. It was an embarrassment. And when you have this and you're trying to bring this game to the world and you try to show, hey, you know what? Because it's not just about bringing the game to the world. It's not just about soccer. What it is about these kind of things help in other countries when it comes to trying to give girls the opportunity and the chance to do other things than for many decades and centuries. They've been an afterthought in just about everything. And this was an absolute embarrassment and joke. And quite frankly, I would look at the way, because Nigeria refused to leave the field the other day, and Cameroon, I would look and say, you know what, we got to figure something out here, and maybe these teams don't get another chance here for a couple of years. We may have to suspend them for a while until they can get their act together.
Twice, Cameroon's players looked like they were threatening to go on strike. How much sympathy did you have with them during the match?
None. The rules are rules. First goal, second goal was it? I lost count. Ellen White was onside. Deal with it. We know the rules. We've been spoken to 350,000 times by referees in the last 3 weeks. We know the rules. The referee got everyone right. In fact, I think at the end she took pity on them. I thought we should have had a penalty, and I thought we should have had a sending off. So in the end, actually, they should count the lucky stars that it wasn't 5 and 6. The behaviour was wrong. The behaviour was wrong because it's the image of women's football then that's going out worldwide about a team that comes to the side and is starting to refuse to play. And I'm proud of my players about the discipline and the belief that they had in going out there and just playing the game of football.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was ugly. It was a bit of embarrassment. I'm not gonna lie to you, and you don't want that on your biggest stage. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Trump today, of course, talking about once again more sanctions on Iran. I don't know, where this goes. Iran's got to figure something out. Their economy is going to retract about 6% this year. They're being hit like they've never been hit before. And I know people want us to, hey, we need to come to the table. They want everything to kind of stay the same. But there's a lot of things out there that didn't happen with this last agreement, that I thought this last agreement was a joke. I think they just wanted to get something done. And one of the things that never gets addressed the way it should get addressed is what they do outside of their country.
Also included in this is we want the stoppage immediately of their sponsoring of terrorism. They sponsor terrorism at a level that nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah, they are the largest sponsor of state terrorism. That's not even, it's not even close. It's not. Something needs to be done. I would like to see us get to the table and work something out when it comes to a New Deal that would benefit the region and us as well. I just don't think that's going to happen the way that people think it's going to happen.
I would rejoin with our allies. I would work to renegotiate and get us back into a place where we are standing together with our allies and have like we had before.
That's, that right there is Cory Booker talking about what he would do. Well, here's the thing, Cory. This is the question I continue to ask people, the what if question, right? The what if question. Because we heard the same thing in 94 when it came to North Korea. And then what? Well, since then, we're going on 2+ decades of them holding the world hostage whenever they seem fit. It is frustrating. And the difference between North Korea is North Korea uses it as a lost leader to get some of the things that they want, where I think they would use it to bully the region and expand in ways that are far worse than anything North Korea has ever thought about doing. We'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Blink! We might have to give everybody over in the Middle East Blink cameras. Just see what's going on outside. Blink is amazing. These cameras are incredible. The XT2 cameras, right? So these cameras are outdoor, simple and easy to use, set up in just so quick, wire-free, run on a couple AA batteries. They are absolutely amazing. They start under $100. No contracts, totally affordable. It really is. So you get your Blink smartphone app, you get your cameras, you have the two-way talk. What ends up happening, you'll say somebody shows up at your door, you don't know who they are, you can talk to them. You also get a little snippet of who they are on your Blink smartphone app. It is that simple. It is that easy to use. And home security just got so much easier. Indoor, outdoor cameras. Blink has everything you need for your home security needs. And again, these things start at under $100. Wait till you try it out. You're going to be like, wow, that is incredible. That really is. So what are you waiting for? Check them out right now. Go to blinkprotect.com/Benson. That's blinkprotect.com/Benson. Blinkprotect.com/Benson. Blink cameras are available on Amazon, also at Best Buy. Blink is an Amazon company, and it works with Alexa. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say what?
Ditching her son for Lady Luck. New at 5, a mom arrested after leaving her 9-year-old son at a McDonald's while she went to a casino. Peoria police say an employee called after noticing the boy was alone at the McDonald's near the 101 in Peoria. Officers tracked down Stacy Rube the boy's mom, who says she went to the Desert Diamond Casino. Surveillance video at the casino shows she was there for several hours.
Yeah, originally what she said, solid parenting there, is that she dropped her kid off at McDonald's to play in the play area so she could, in the same parking lot, there's a supermarket, there's a Fry's, she was going to run over there, and she was going to just do some shopping. Police are like, we don't buy it. Kid's got nothing. He looks disheveled, right? Nobody's watching him. Solid parenting right there. Solid parenting. Chad, that's not very nice. No, it's not. This person, it's hilarious, right? You should have a license for just about everything in this globe and country, but you don't have to have a license to be kidding. Any yahoo could do it, and it's just insane. It really is. You just sit back and you say, are you kidding me? Really? Really? You leave your kid in a McDonald's? What in God's name is wrong with you? Lots. People are a mess. I watch Live PD. You just got to watch it and realize people are a mess. They're an absolute mess. And you're thinking to yourself, along the way, yesterday, Jack and I, Saturday, we were at a park, and it was a situation where these people came over and like begging us for money. And my son Jack he's Uber thinks with his heart. And I just said, no, scram. And he's like, oh yeah, I feel sorry for those people. And I'm like, I don't, because they've made poor choices. They've made poor choices. And there should be some sort of responsibility with that. And begging people for money. It's just, it's like, and the thing is, and it's so sad, some of these situations where you're like, how did you get yourself into this mess? Right? I went into the bathroom in this park and there were people doing drugs, and I was just like, this is a mess. This is an absolute, we were waiting for somebody who was having a procedure done. And I was just like, this is a joke. This is a joke. This is a joke. I don't feel sorry for you at all. Some people got to take responsibility. But there you go. And this person, you shouldn't have a kid because you wanted to do something else. And you were so driven by going to the casino and party, and you decided Ronald McDonald should watch your child. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Why can't you be like everybody else? Right? Have YouTube watch your kid. I'm just saying. Text the program. Love hearing from each and every one of you. Check out that there thing we like to call the gram, kids, the Instagram. We're on Instagram as well. We're also on the YouTube. We're pretty much everywhere that good social media is available. And the ChadShow.com. Grab your podcast there as well. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I'll be signing an executive order imposing hard-hitting sanctions on the Supreme Leader of Iran and the office of the Supreme Leader of Iran and many others.
So there you go. He's going to be signing something. Supreme Leader of Iran, get ready for it. You're getting signed straight at. Here it comes. More sanctions.
Sanctions imposed through the executive order that I'm about to sign will deny the Supreme Leader and the Supreme Leader's office and those closely affiliated with him and the office access to key financial resources and support.
And this all has to do with the drone attack, right? This has to do with it. Trump said last week, because everybody was waiting for Trump. All right, like, okay, is this it? Are we gonna attack Iran? Are we gonna do something? What is going to be our response? What's going to happen? Trump came out, kind of threw some water on the fire that was seeming to start to rage because everybody was waiting for something. He said, I don't think they did this on purpose. I think it was an idiot. And of course, they've come out and said, yeah, we totally did this on purpose. And I'm surprised that we didn't do something, right? Based on the fact that all I hear is Trump is, and everybody around him is nothing but just ready to go to war. But I thought the whole process was getting our ass out of wars, which I don't want to be in endless wars. I don't. I don't want a nation build. I don't want to do any of that. Unless somebody comes to you and said, look, our nation's fallen apart. We have now put it back together. We need your help in establishing something. That's one thing. But going there and overthrowing regimes and doing this, unless there's an issue where, Israel's attacked and we back them up or NATO or something like that, come on. But this is all because of what took place. But there was the other side, which was we were ready to roll, apparently, as early as late Thursday, early Friday.
They came and they said, sir, we're ready to go. We'd like a decision. I said, I want to know something before you go. How many people will be killed? In this case, Iranians. I said, how many people are going to be killed? Approximately 150. And I thought about it for a second. I said, you know what? They shot down an unmanned drone, plane, whatever you want to call it. And here we are sitting with 150 dead people. And I didn't like it. I didn't think it was proportionate.
No. If that's true, it's not proportionate. It's very real. Now, it's a $160 quadrillion unmanned drone, right? It's not the little drone you buy at the CVS or on Amazon and fly it around and take pictures. No, this is a really expensive piece of hardware. But it's so funny because if Obama would have said, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. People are like, oh, my God, it's great for that. Trump, though, I even saw Democrats this weekend almost egging, and they almost want him to do something. So today, he did something. Sanctions.
These measures represent a strong and proportionate response to Iran's increasingly provocative actions. We will continue to increase pressure on Tehran until the regime abandons its dangerous activities and its aspirations, including the pursuit of nuclear weapons.
We'll find out. We'll find out what happens from here on out. But it's going to be very interesting moving forward to see if this is going to go somewhere. If this has a one-off scenario or if they go out and do something else. Because now, if they go out and do something else, if they shoot down something else, at some point in time, you have to answer like for like, if you will. This may not be it, and the sanctions long-term, but you also can't continue to allow what took place a couple weeks ago with the shipping cargo and this. At some point in time, there will be a line that gets crossed. And what happens, like I said last week, does it change if there are pilots and people involved? Because apparently there was a nearby airplane that had 15 people on it. Would that have changed everything? Oh, yeah, damn Skippy, it would have. It would have absolutely changed everything.
Only this person checks all the boxes and positively answers the question I often hear posed. Who do the Democrats have that we know can beat Trump? And there really is only one answer to that. And it's not Joe Biden. I like Joe. But if we give him the keys, there's at least a 50% chance he gets in the car and mows down a farmer's market. Also, young people look at him like a typewriter is running for president.
So true. So true. Bill Maher crushed several of the leading candidates out there, including the people that are literally one of them who's been red hot the last, 3-4 weeks in Elizabeth Warren and, of course, Sleepy Joe there.
Neither can I say that about Elizabeth Warren, who I like even more. But a lot of Americans see a woman with a bunch of plans who seems to know everything, making demands for change, and they think, I already have a wife. Bernie Sanders is an American hero in my book, but he's another one who has his cardiologist on speed dial. I like Mayor Pete, but we must ask the question, is America ready to be led by a gay teenager?
Bernie, to me, I'm sorry, he's not an American hero. Like he stepped to, he's stuck to all the things he believed in. But you go back and you look at his radicalness and where he would like to take America is completely anti-America, if you will, in the values that we have. He would like to expand government and make it the end-all to be-all. If given his druthers, he knows he couldn't do that overnight, but he'd like to move it there. Mayor Pete's got a lot of issues, and we'll touch on that.
The only person who is a sure thing is Oprah Winfrey. Oprah alone checks all the boxes that a Democrat needs to win. It is crucial to energize the African American base. The majority of all voters are women, and 58% of the Democratic electorate is women. So, does Oprah energize women? Oprah doesn't scare white men. But never underestimate the power of being in people's living rooms for decades. That's what got Trump elected.
Except for one thing, right? I want everybody to understand this. She looks at Trump and she says some things that are crazy. He has been divisive at times. Everything. Yeah, all true. But his brand, even before it started to go there with Trump, was tarnished. Because when you choose a side in politics, you get looked at completely different. And she took years and decades to build a brand that has made her billions of dollars and beloved worldwide. Is she ready to have half the country not like her and for her brand to be tarnished? Because it will. It's going to at some point in time. It affects you.
If you want to run a campaign based on reparations and concentration camps, if that's what, then it's going to be very hard to win the election. I'm not saying you can't do it. It'll be very hard to argue that this is helping.
Yeah, he's right. He's right. But I look at this and I say to myself, Oprah, and I think she's thought this. I think if Trump would have won, but he would have just been a plain old Republican, his brand wouldn't have been destroyed. He wouldn't have, it wouldn't have gone the way it is, because Trump has lost God knows how many millions of dollars brand-wise that he's destroyed, while Trump himself has elevated himself to the most famous, hated, loved, all of that stuff worldwide at this moment in time. The reality is Oprah knows that you're going to choose a side. And Oprah comes from the same kind of school that Michael Jordan does, which is Republicans buy shoes too. And you're going to choose a side where you're going to have a portion of America, a good portion of America, that is going to not like you just based on choosing that side. Because that's what we have nowadays with our tribalism. We choose a side, and that's it. And if you decide to leave and go to the other side, we're done with you. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. We're going to touch on immigration because I think it is absolutely something that needs to be touched upon in a real way. And I tell you what, the frustration that is through the roof after watching once again, this insanity of what's happening with immigration, how it's not being dealt with in a real way, how we are failing over and over and over and over to get it right is driving me crazy. And we need somebody who's got the political courage on the other sides of the aisles to stand up and say, this may cost us, but let's get it done and actually be remembered for something that when people look back and go, wow, that didn't suck compared to a lot of the other things that both sides end up doing, which is some tax cuts maybe and Obamacare, where you think you got it through and it all went well, only to find out, several years later, people are like, ugh, that's awful. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet us. The U.S. women's national team through to the quarterfinals. They would take on France. The French at home. And the French hosting the World Cup on Friday in the quarterfinals. So this is what everybody was hoping for. You got the U.S. We beat Spain today 2-1. It was a tougher game. A lot of people expected. We got 2 penalty kicks. It was, Spain by, if you look at the numbers to the first part of the World Cup, definitely have been the second best team potentially. But we're on our way now to the quarterfinals against France. And I still think based on all, it's a one-off. And remember, you're playing the team that's hosting the World Cup at home. They're going to play at the Parc des Princes in Paris on Friday, which is massive for them. They're going to have an entire nation and Europe behind them because a lot of Europe hates, especially after the whole Thailand thing, wants America to lose. But based on what I've seen so far, we're still the team to beat. But it'll be interesting on Friday. Go USA! Can I say that? No, it's trigger warning. Candid. Can I be candid with you? Nah. All right, here's candid. They're amazing. They go to orthodontists who are licensed in your state. They're going to create a treatment plan for you. For what, you say? How about straighter, brighter, whiter teeth in about 6 months' time? With clear aligners that are custom for you. You never have to go into an orthodontist office. They don't work with quote-unquote dental professionals. No, real orthodontists. Yeah, that's what happens. As you get older, what happens? Your teeth move, right? You eat regular food, you do whatever it is you do, drink, sodas, this, that, and the other. Eventually, your teeth aren't as white as they used to be. That's where Candid comes in. They're going to send you a 3D preview that's going to show you what your smile is going to look like, and it's going to be amazing. And get this, 65% less than braces. You never have to go in an orthodontist office ever. It is incredible. Straighter, brighter teeth in an average of just 6 months. This is how you get it. Go to candidco.com/Benson to learn more. You're going to save $75 right there. That's candidco.com/Benson. Candidco.com/Benson. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where the sensible center hangs out. Hey, you. That doesn't mean you can put your feet up on the table.
You're despicable.
This is Chad Benson.
This is huge news for women, that our sex lives and our desire is finally important enough to get some things through the FDA.
What happened, ladies? Well, low sex drive, maybe. It's not because the guy that you married or you're dating is gross. Maybe it's just, some chemical imbalance and you need a little bit of help.
There's only been one other FDA-approved medication that, has had a lukewarm reception because of some of the side effects and contraindications. So this is huge news for women.
Yes, ladies. And for men, by the way. Let's not discount that. And for the dudes. Good news. Guys, you still got to get out there, though. We still got to do some stuff, right? Just a smidge. Maybe every once in a while do the dishes. We talked a bit about it last week. That's a big helper.
It's believed to stimulate the dopamine production. So in a new relationship where you can't get enough of each other, you're actually making a lot of dopamine.
Yeah. So that's good, right? So this will help with that. So you throw that in with your humor and doing the dishes and doing the things around that, that she would like done that you don't do. Next thing you know, it's a win-win. You guys can't keep your hands off each other. I'm just saying, that's what I heard. And this is going to help. Worst case scenario is she's going to find somebody else because it's not, it's not her low sex drive. It's your gross. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us another incident at a baseball game.
These incidents are now raising questions about protective netting at baseball games. According to Major League Baseball, as of last year, all 30 team stadiums are required to have protective netting that extends from behind home plate to the end of each dugout. Both the woman and the little girl were sitting just outside that shielded area.
Yeah, now they're talking about another woman was hit. And they took her for tests, so now you've got a situation where baseball has got to figure out what they're going to do. I'm surprised this has taken as long as it has. Hockey dealt with it several years ago when there was a death at an arena. There was a very the situation was like the perfect storm. Guy took a shot. It wasn't even a full slap shot. It was deflected. It was in Nashville. It went into the crowd. It hit a little girl. People were going for the puck, and next thing you know, something happened to her. It was an awful situation, but baseball's been one of those ones where it's great to be close. You want to be close. They've moved, they want more seats, so they're moving the game closer and closer. People want to be on those, down the right field or left field line, especially close, because the chance to get a foul ball is real. But in saying that, there's a reason you're not playing, and they are. And there's a reason when the ball comes off your bat at 100+ miles an hour and you're sitting there talking to your friend, because baseball is one of those games where you sit there and you're chatting with somebody that it could be ugly. And this, again, was at Dodger Stadium. So you've had 2 of those in the last month. I'm surprised there hasn't been more over the last several years that we've paid attention to, but these have been frequent. And there was one last year, again, Dodger Stadium. And that ball comes fast. You ever try to catch a foul ball? I mean, really? And that's the other thing, too, that I don't think people take. We will lose our mind to get a souvenir. So a person will foul a ball in the air. It will come in, third base behind home plate. Everybody will drop everything they do, and the 30 people around you will go and try to get that ball. So it's not just the 100-mile-an-hour ball that's coming at you sometimes. It is the 100 people around you with the 100-mile ball coming at you. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Bernie wants to give everybody free college. Sounds amazing. You put that with everything else. That's a lot of free stuff. Don't know how we're going to pay for it. We're going to touch on that. Immigration debate is heating up once again. Yeah, never ending, kids. And wait to hear the story about a man and food stamps. Very interesting. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Over the last week, legal advocates reported some horrific conditions for children at the border. At the same time that was going on, the Trump administration was actually arguing in court this week that the Trump administration should not be obligated to give soap or toothbrushes or showers to children detained at the border. Aren't toothbrushes and blankets and medicine basic conditions for kids?
Well, of course they are, Jake. No, when we were negotiating during the government shutdown, and Democrats in Congress refused to expand the bed space and the capacity for us to detain people.
This is going on right now.
You're a liar, Pence. Nothing but a liar. Kids in cages, concentration camps. What's next? The ovens? We have a problem at the border. And here's the thing. The Republicans have made a mess of this, and the Democrats have used this as a political football. They don't want to acknowledge there's issues. They don't want to acknowledge the insanity of how many people are coming here. They don't want to acknowledge that they're a huge part in what's going on, in refusals to do anything. And the Republicans, we've screwed up. But my question, and again, I continue to ask it over and over. Well, what do? We just don't turn people loose. Number one thing right now for people, according to Gallup poll, is immigration. 1 in 3 are seriously concerned about immigration. 1 in 3 want immigration levels decreased. Social and moral values, about equal across. Better, worse, no effect. But when it comes to job opportunities for you and your family, taxes, and the crime situation, people are worried. People are worried. And it's funny, when it looks at job opportunities for you and your family, it's very interesting how it changes compared to the economy in general. Because people have a positive view as far as immigration here and the impact. But when it comes to job opportunities for you and your family, here's the thing about immigration, like a lot of other things. If it doesn't affect me, then I'm okay with it. If it affects me, or it has the potential to affect me, then I have a different view, because we live in a world where personal situations will play a much bigger part. It's like we talk about the homeless. Everybody screams about the homeless. Mayor Breed in San Francisco says, hey, I got a great idea. we're going to pass something here where I'm able to basically fast track building homeless shelters all over the place. And the liberal white elites talk about all the problems and how they've got their bleeding heart BS out there. And then they say, we're going to build it in your neighborhood. And they're like, whoa, hold on a second. That's a negative ghostwriter. Immigration is a problem, and it affects us, and we need to sort it out for a lot of reasons. And there is, to me, one group to blame for it. And both have an R and a D by their name.
One of the reasons why we continue to call on Congress to give DHS, Customs and Border Protection, additional resources at the border. But
this is the wealthiest nation in the world. We have money to give toothpaste and soap and blankets to these kids in this facility in El Paso County right now.
Of course we do.
So why aren't we?
My point is, it's all a part of the appropriations process. Congress needs to provide additional support to deal with the crisis at our southern border.
Yeah. And to deal with it in more than just one situation. We could talk all day about what's going on, right? We could talk about it. Those kids need to have opportunities to bathe, to have toothpaste, to sit down for a second and breathe over the arduous journey they've just taken. But they're being used as political pawns. And that is not good either. We're better than this in a lot of ways. We are. In saying that, can we also recognize that these kids are being used not just by Democrats who love to have the chance to go and to look at the Republicans and say, you guys are awful, but also by people who are using these kids coming here knowing full well there's an opportunity here if you bring your kids to get in here quicker. It is frustrating. It is. And we have got a group of people in D.C. who are doing nothing because neither team wants to be seen as that they're giving in and giving the other team a chance for a victory. It needs to be addressed. It does. Over the weekend, you had Trump say, we're going to have ICE is going to start deporting people. By the way, look at the numbers on ICE and the deportations under Trump, under Obama. I think you'll be shocked to find out Obama kicks his ass, numbers-wise. Yeah. The joke with Obama is he was the deporter-in-chief. Talk a good game. And then you look at this situation here. You've got groups of people who have their own thing that they're doing in D.C., and they're not getting anything done the way it should be getting done. And because of that, there's no rules changed for asylum. There's no opportunity to sit down and deal with things in a way as adults would deal with them. And because of that, this is what we've got, and it's not going to get any better. Because both sides are having the opportunity to use it to their gain in the public sphere, which is where they feel needed and where they raise money. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. This is very interesting. If you guys haven't seen this, what's going on in Oregon is there's a bunch of bills, including a climate change bill. And they need the Republicans to vote on it. The Republicans, for all intents and purposes, have just disappeared and aren't going to participate in the voting of stuff.
We can hold out for quite some time. They've had massive demonstrations at the Capitol on this now. And if we hold out to June 30th, then all the pending legislation, including this bill, will die.
Yeah. And it's really bizarre what's going on. But they're like sending out like fake wanted posters of like, have you seen these people? Because they want to hold on for as long as can to get rid of some of this insanity. But we talked about this. This is what happens when you have states, and 49 of our 50 states are single party states for all intents and purposes. Only Minnesota is a state that has a two-party system where each party has some say in what's going on. The other states nowadays are one-party states. One-party states, meaning that single party dominates, and in many cases, several cases, it is supermajority, which means the other party doesn't even matter. California is a perfect example. In fact, it's got such a supermajority that if it doesn't like what Gavin Newsom does, and he doesn't go far enough left in situations that they want, they can even override his veto. Oregon's like, okay, here's the deal. We're just going to hide. We're just going to go on vacation. And then once June 30th rolls around, all this stuff goes away and we'll start up again. So that's embarrassing. It is. It's embarrassing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Speaking of Minnesota, interesting.
My name is Rob Undersander from Way Park, Minnesota. I've been doing some volunteer work for senior line linkage. Primarily, I help seniors with annual Medicare re-enrollment, but also fill out forms and some other health and human services programs. I have pages, 4 or 5 pages of programs that list income requirements, asset limitations, and then some program description.
So you got a guy here. He's helping out seniors, right? So so he's got to get trained, right? He's got to go over all the paperwork, got to see what's going on here. And, you know, as you go through all of the programs, and stick with me here, this is interesting.
And we get to SNAP, and they say it's income only. And I'm thinking, I've worked hard my life. I've saved money. It's the way I was raised, to live off those savings later in life. So I said, are you sure that's right? Income only? And they said, yes. And I thought to myself, well, I'm just going to fill out a form myself and take it down to the county building and see what happens. And when I filled out that form, I used an abundance of honesty and caution. Stood in line for a while, answered the questions with the caseworker, and 3 weeks later, I get the EBT card in the mail. I get a letter saying you get $278 a month. And I thought, wow, I can't believe this.
And why this is interesting is because he's a millionaire. They asked for income only. He's like, we're just living off my wife's Social Security checks. We're retired. We got plenty of money, and we've got assets to boot. We have all of this stuff. We're living life and enjoying it. But as far as income coming in, no, we don't have any. And they're like, it's no big deal. Here you go.
I was honestly hoping that it would be denied. By the way, I have given away all of that. Every penny I've collected, I donated to charities and needy individuals. They have never found out that I have assets because they don't ask. I'm not against the food stamp program. There are needy people out there, and I want them to have temporary help.
Yeah, temporary help, which is always something we got to realize. The temporary is a good thing, meaning that your whole goal is to get off this. Well, government, especially what we're seeing with the Democrats, not all of them, right? The Hickenloopers of the world, and even Buttigieg, who's having some issues with right now in his home city. He's got different ideas on stuff that go against the everything's free. But I just found this to be fascinating because it was income only. So if you were $20 million, but you don't have, quote unquote, an income, minus maybe Social Security and a little thing you may pull out once in a while, they may say to you, it's in. And he just wanted to point this out. He said, look, I wasn't looking to do anything other than just point this out, that this is kind of how people job the system. Which I think is something that we should, look, it's always good to find out if stuff like this is going on out there. Because I would rather see people who need it get it than people who know how to work the system. And a lot of times in life, it's what you know in a system that works better than whether or not you really need it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Yes, more and more sanctions on Iran. And we'll see what's going to happen with Iran. I have no idea at this point in time what's happening with Iran. Are we going to war? No, I don't think we are. I said that last week. Is there going to be something that could potentially happen? Yes. I think the potential for something to happen is real. Do I think it's going to happen anytime soon? It depends on how desperate they get, because they're feeling that desperation. Their economy this year is going to attract about 6%. They're hurt big time, and they're more than just angry. I'll say that.
Tehran has yet to comment on the cyber strike, but is adamant the downed U.S. drones strayed into its airspace, a claim the U.S. flatly denies, firm in its assessment that this was an unprovoked attack over international waters. All this, of course, in the context of those crippling sanctions imposed by the U.S. Inflation in Iran is at 30%, and the IMF says its economy will shrink by 6% this year.
It's huge. It's huge, and they're feeling it. They're feeling it. Even though they were chanting death to America, they need something to happen. But I'm with Trump, and I thought the deal was bad before, And I'm with Trump in we need a deal that is really going to be real, and especially when it comes to not only the nuclear pursuits, but as far as the state sponsor of terrorism. How do we fix that? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Guys are bad at doing what? Getting ourselves checked out. Something goes wrong. We delay. It'll be fine. From backs to knees to everything in between, including ED, erectile dysfunction. Thankfully, Roman came along, says, guys, I get this. You don't want to go to the waiting room. You don't want to talk to a doctor, the awkward face-to-face, and you have to go to the pharmacy. Don't worry about it. All you have to do is go check out Roman. Go to GetRoman.com/Benson. What they've done is created a one-stop shop. You're going to see a licensed U.S. physician. You can even diagnose an ED medicine sent directly to your door in discreet, unmarked packaging. Boom. All you do is go to GetRoman.com/Benson. You complete a dynamic online visit. You chat with the doctor right there. And if the doctor says yes, we'll get you the meds. The meds come directly to you. No waiting room, no awkward face-to-face. It is that simple. And right now, the visit is free. Go to GetRoman.com/Benson. That's GetRoman.com/Benson. GetRoman.com/Benson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
Today we are entering a proposal which will allow every person in this country to get all of the education that they need to live out their dreams because they are American.
There you go. Because you are American. Now, wait a minute here. Is it just American? Because every time I hear something like this, then something happens. It's like, nah, if you're just in the country, we're going to give you free college. Bernie rolled out his big free college. Who's paying for it? It's the rich. It's Wall Street. They're paying for it. Somebody hit me up earlier and said, I'm sick of paying for endless wars. Me too. I thought Iraq was a bad idea. We needed to have a proportional take when it came to Afghanistan. And then it's like, well, we bailed out the banks. I'm like, yeah, but the banks paid us back with interest, by the way. The auto industry, not so much. Sorry. It's frustrating. I don't want to bail anybody out. And let's get to the root cause of the issues when it comes to college. Why is it so expensive to go to college? It felt a little expensive when we were younger. I'm 48. But it also felt doable, like you could do it, work part-time, go to school, get a few, grants, and you take out a few loans, and it was manageable. What has happened? Well, what happened is everybody wants to go, and so they feel they can charge whatever. Don't get mad at the people who are loaning money. Get mad at the people who are charging the money, and that's something people don't seem to do. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. So Drake, Mr. Phil and I were just talking about, Drake has got his 37th top 10 hit, only behind the Beatles and Madonna. Right? That's insane. I think he's going to smash those records. That is nuts. You is crazy. What a week for Drake. Right? He's got his team won because he's a huge Toronto Raptors fan. He won $300K on a bet. On top of that, now he's got another top 10 hit. Life is good. Life is good for the Canadian rapper who used to be on that television show. Like, Nipsey Hussle was not on a kid's TV show. Drake was. Let's put that out there. When you think of hard rappers, when you think of hardcore, right? Drake was on a kid's TV show. Is that the one where they slimed everybody? Is that it? I think it was. So think about that just for a second, right? Wasn't Alanis Morissette on there, right? It's like, so you think about things. You can't do that on television. So just think about that. Nipsey Hussle, not so much. Just pointing it out. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. U.S. Women's National Team advances quarterfinal game on Friday against the host, France. Going to be a tough game. I think France, along with us and Germany, are the favorites to win it. And it's going to be tough. We did not look good today against Spain. Some of that is the way that they played, and some of that's the way that we played, but good for the women. So on to the quarterfinals in Paris on Friday with the entire nation rooting against our girls. So it'll be very interesting. Your useless fact of the day, dolphins can shut off one part of their brain entirely and go 2 weeks without sleep. So they can rotate shutting down their brains. one side or the other side. Think about that. How cool would that be, just to relax? It's like, I'm going to chill. You guys watch this. Have a great rest of your day. We'll do it again tomorrow, as always. Night, night, Jack.
This is The Chad Benson Show.